Guys, it's LEGO Hobo 910 here with another LEGO video, and in this video I'm reviewing set number 76116, Batman Batsub and the Underwater Clash. So let's get right into the review. So first off, we just have this fairly standard shark, two pieces, one with the jaw and one with the body, eyes printed on. This isn't unique at all to this set, it's a fairly common thing. So let's move on from him and start looking at these. So these are two kind of platforms as well as water blasts for Ocean Master and Aquaman. And they also do come with, two of these, as it is that pack of the blast splat piece type things. So it does come with two of those. And then they each have a radar dish with then some of the blasts coming up to look kind of like, either they're hovering above the water or swimming really fast or something. I like how they kind of balanced it with Ocean Master is higher, his are smaller, but then if we look at these blasts, Aquaman has a bigger blast than Ocean Master. These are just built exactly the same, using the swirly piece and some cones, except Aquaman's uses the bigger piece. And they actually suggest using these in a few different ways. The first being, you pop off the end, then take their trident and put it in the end so it looks like they're throwing their trident. And you can obviously do that with both. And then the other way suggested, I'm going to show you in just a second when we move on to the Batsub. So overall, I think these small builds are really nice, and they add a lot to kind of the water atmosphere, as well as they just look good for display and work well for play. So, good on those by me. Let's move on to the Batsub. So here's the other way that they suggest using them, which is on the Batsub coming out of the back of the engines here to kind of represent water streams. Then if you wish, you can also spin these propellers, which I really like. They look very nice, as well as, spinning them's fun. And then I also like the way that the whole engine assembly looks there, with the Nexo shields here, which do have a lot of stickers. There's 4 total between the engines, as well as 3 other stickers elsewhere, which we'll look at. I also really like the shaping of the back here, with this kind of tail piece using these new plates that they made for this Batman, what's called wave. And then I also like the little subtle red line there. They also have 2 black flipper pieces there, which you're supposed to take off and put on Batman when he's not in the sub. I like that they included a place to put them, because they wouldn't really fit in the sub with him. Either that or they'd be sticking up in his face, looking weird. So I'm glad that they included a place where you're supposed to put them. Then also on the engines, there's these kind of big wings sticking off with a stud shooter on either side, and it does include extra studs for the stud shooters, of course. And then, before we start looking at the cockpit, I'm going to show you the main feature here, which has to do with this big handle on the bottom. You can hold this, and then you can swoosh it around, and it's gravity-driven there, so the cockpit always stays upright, even though the wings are tipping. Kind of reminds me of a B-wing from Star Wars, and I think this is really cool. It adds a bit of uniqueness to this Batsub, so that way, it has a unique, cool feature. I really like the way that this looks. It's, first of all, good for display. If you want it at a slight angle, it can look cool. And also for kids playing with it, it's really fun to just swoosh it around. It just looks so cool. So then moving up to the cockpit, there are 3 stickers on the cockpit. One on this Nexo shield, and then one there, and an identical one on the other side. And there's also yellow lights on the front. And then also, he has these 2 kind of claws. They are kind of short and really can't reach out very far. So you can see they can only reach out a little farther than the cockpit, though they do bend up and down at the base, as well as these can swivel. If you really want, you can kind of turn it, but not really. You have to be really careful if you want to turn it there, so it doesn't explode like mine just did. So overall, I think they look nice, but they're really not that useful, as you can't reach that far with them. I wish they would have somehow made them longer, because I think the posability is good, and the overall look is nice, but they don't reach very far. So then we have the cockpit here with this big bubble dome, which I really like. We can just open that up. It's on a click hinge. There's just enough room for Batman to sit in there. And then there are 2 printed consoles there, which are fairly standard consoles. The one on the right here is used in a lot of Star Wars sets, and I believe the one on the left is used more so in City. The inside of the cockpit doesn't really look that nice, with kind of the weird shapings and random colors. I like the base there with the panels. But then once you get past that gray, well, past the red line, it starts looking all weird with these weird shapes and the transparent yellow. And I think they could have improved it so much if they just made those studs gray and that plate gray, and then it would have looked so much better inside. But that's my one gripe with the inside of the cockpit. Overall, I think this is a really cool, unique Batsub with the whole tilting feature, and it looks pretty nice, and I know a lot of people complain about getting way too many Bat vehicles, but this one is fairly unique, and I really like it. So now let's go look at the minifigs. Here are the 3 minifigs in the set. First we have Batman, then we have a new version of Aquaman, and then the first ever version of Ocean Master. I'm going to start off with Batman. He's pretty standard for this wave of Batman sets. He used the same torso that came out in the Lex Luthor mech set a year or 2 ago, and then they've been using this one in all the sets for this wave, which I think is nice because they're not just using the same Batman that they always do, so I think it's good that we can get different variants, and this one is slightly different with the respirator there. He doesn't have a cape, though. I do really like the printing, though. It's pretty crisp and detailed, as well as the kind of shadowing there. And the belt kind of has 2 layers of printing. It's kind of hard to see unless the light hits it right. But there's, like, the regular matte gold, and then there's, like, around each pouch a little stripe of a slightly shinier gold, which I really like, and it looks nice. And then we also have this new version of Aquaman, which I think is pretty cool. It's kind of a blend between classic comic book Aquaman and the newer, cooler movie version, as they use the same hairpiece that he has in the movie, and also, you know, give him a beard, except now it's blonde, and also his outfit is more comic booky, so it's kind of a blend, which I like. I've also just given Ocean Master and Aquaman one of those blue blast pieces that I was showing you earlier, and those work to, you know, make it look like they're punching through the water, or that they're about to throw water or something, you know, launch a water blast. So I think those work fairly well. And then Aquaman here has a golden trident. I also like the back printing, the bit that we can see. I'll take that hair off and show you a bit more later. And he also has that one face print where it's smiling, and then we'll get to the other in a moment. Then here's Ocean Master, who I really like. He's definitely one of the highlights of the set. He has this new kind of light purpley pink cape, which looks pretty cool, as well as, I don't believe that's a new piece for the helmet, but I'm pretty sure that's a new color for it in silver. And then he also has the gunmetal gray trident. I also really like the torso printing there. You can like see some kind of white in there, which adds a bit of shine and shimmer to it, and it looks pretty cool. Also like the, once again, with that kind of dual printing there, where you can see on the belt that there's a darker gray and then also shinier gray printed on top of it in some parts to make it reflect a bit more. And then if we look in his helmet, you can see that there's kind of some red eyes there. We're going to pop this helmet off. That's his one face where there's the goggles and then the red goggles and the open mouth. Then he has the other face where he's more angry and he doesn't have the goggles on, which I'll show you in a second after I take off some of the other stuff. So I've now taken off some stuff and also switched the faces around for this one. There you can see Batman's face is the same one as in the rest of this wave. The one kind of frowning one, and then the alternate face is the smiling one. And yeah, I've switched Aquaman's head around here so you can see his other face where he's more aggressive. Now let's pop off his hair so you can see the back printing, which kind of continues over from the front. I really like the gold accents on it. Look very nice. And then here's Ocean Master without his cape. His back printing isn't as good as the front printing, it isn't as detailed, but that's fine as it's going to be covered by a cape most of the time. And yeah, that's what his other face looks like under the helmet. I don't think it looks as good as the red eyes, though I do like the kind of yelling expression more. Overall, I think this set has a really good selection of minifigs. With, of course, it has to come with Batman, as it is a Batman-themed set. And then I like the new version of Aquaman, and Ocean Master is just an amazing minifig. Overall, I think this is a really good set. I think the Batsub build does stand out as opposed to other Bat vehicles with the interesting gravity-driven feature. The Batman is the same as in the rest of the wave, so he isn't that great, though of course there has to be a Batman. I like the fact that they tried to make him slightest bit different by including the respirator and the flippers for him. The shark is a nice inclusion as well, just adds a bit more to the action. You know, while these two are fighting each other, then Batman has something to do. I also think the new version of Aquaman is pretty cool, and I really, really like Ocean Master, as well as I love the inclusion of all these little water builds for them. Just adds a bit more. And overall, I really like this set, and I think it's one of the best in this Batman wave. That's all from me now, and bye.